Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big Jon and Five. It's where I get my good buddy here, Big Jon Richards, to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 taps, and we sniff it, we sip it, we kibitz about it. Jon tells us a little bit about the brewery, and sometimes we even learn a little bit about brewing. And having said that, Jon, what do we got?
Oh, we've got an IPA in front of us today, Russ.
Lovely.
And, yeah. You probably can't tell at home as much with this head standing up on top of that like a marshmallow when we first sat down. We've it's been a technical difficulty this morning.
Yeah, we've been struggling a little bit here in this
We're going to get better.
This high-tech age.
Right. So this is New Anthem Beer, New Anthem Brewing out of Wilmington, New Anthem Beer Project. To be specific, out of Wilmington, North Carolina, and they're some new guys that have gotten a lot of press in the last year, 18 months, for just making some really, really great stuff. And we're lucky enough to get them here for a couple of months now. They're still really new in our market, so I expect them to expand through the Southeast a little bit more as we the next months and days or whatever.
Apparently you really wanted to talk about them because what you've poured here is an hazy IPA.
I know. And we've discovered every episode has to have something about how much hazy IPA needs to go away. But it's not going to. I know it's not going to. And so I'm going to have to drink it and taste it and make my way. This is a 0 IBU IPA.
Is it really?
Yes. And a lot of these hazies are trending or all the way to 0 IBUs these days. It's not adding hops during the boil at all. We're doing all the hopping during dry hopping, which is fine. This beer has 5 different hops in it. It's got some of my favorites. It's got like Citra and Eldorado and Simcoe are 3 of my favorite hops. It's got Mosaic, which is not my favorite hop, but lots of other people's favorite hop. And Centennial, I think, which is one of the classics.
Some hop to be named later.
Right, yeah. But they're all added during fermentation. And that's one of the reasons these beers get so expensive, too, because you have to add 10 times as much hops to get the same effect during fermentation as you would if you added them during the boil. But then you have to deal with the bitterness with the IBU factor, which is how you get to a 0 IBU. So you didn't add anything in there when the temperature was hot enough to dissolve any of the oils into the beer. So we're sitting here with a beer that can only be balanced by acid. It's the only way to balance down the sweetness. There's not anything else in there. So that's what's going to happen. And it's probably going to be it's going to be really tropical.
Well, I'm smelling the citrus sitting here.
With Citra and with Mosaic, I expect some citrus, but both of those are tropical, for their tropical notes as well. Mosaic's all tropical. It's going to be a big bomb of fruit. That's going to be then dried out by the acid on the finish and the carbonation level, which is another reason why the thing had a head pillowed up over the top of the glass. So, but that's why I keep campaigning to bring my IPAs back, because we should still be able to get a $5 IPA in today's world.
Well,
but we can't, because they keep using all the hops in the last possible time they can do it, because they're afraid to brewing bitter beer is going to make people mad.
Well, and make me a little angry. It put me a little out of sorts.
Right.
How many calories do you think is in this beer? 10,000?
10,000. It may not be quite that much. I mean, you may be overestimating by 20%.
See, I did not know that. I used to love New England IPAs. I used to love citrusy, hazy, and then Jon dropped the bomb on me that they're like 5, 6, 7,000 calories in a beer. And
they're not that much.
They're not?
No. 1,000?
Well, that's still a lot.
No, I said that they were probably in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 calories a beer.
Okay.
And this one at 7.5% is probably still a 350, 400 calorie beer, which is just.
Does it look like either one of us need 300 or 400 calories in our beer?
Calories?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's one of the it's one of the hangups here. You get a hazy beer, it's probably got 20 or 30% more calories than if it were not hazy.
Well, let the people who worry too much about that drink make
Well,
all
I've always maintained that you should drink your beer and cut your calories someplace else. So you got that going for you as well.
There you go.
Right.
So, and I have the same position on chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
So
If you're drinking a beer, you're not doing it because you need to be healthy.
well, now you have it. There it is. We speak the truth here at Beer to Whiskey.
Right. Let's taste this thing.
Let's.
Talked about it too much.
Text Miss Lily.
Man, a lot of fruit. Just putting my nose in that 2 years ago, I'd have been like, wow, this is delicious. This is amazing. I can't wait to taste this thing again. We're still over it.
It's a lot of grapefruit and a lot of something else, some other citrusy thing, but it's not orange. It's something.
I'm definitely getting grapefruit. Ooh, yeah, there's a ton of grapefruit in that. Much more than I expected. When I was smelling it, I was thinking it was more like mango and papaya, but when I taste it, man, it just hits you with that big. It just tastes like ruby red grapefruit juice out of a Tropicana bottle.
Yep, it does. Which I think is pretty good.
Right. I drink that stuff.
Wow, look at the lacing on it.
Wow, the lacing's beautiful.
I know that you think that a beer has to be fairly clear to be really pretty, but I think this color
It's pushed back from me a
differentiation
little, because it's weird. I was thinking about this not long ago, sitting with another friend, and we're talking about the old Monday crew down here, and one of those guys was named Doug Williams, which, hi Doug, if you're watching. And he used to talk about like when Maharaja would show up, and you pour it into the glass, and Maharaja would be a little cloudy. You're like, oh, Big Jon, this is when I know it's going to be just full of those hops, and it's going to be my kind of beer. It just wasn't this kind of cloudy. It didn't like you could be forgiven watching this or looking at this glass to think that this was a glass of some sort of fruit juice. This isn't colored like any normal beer ever was. But here we are.
I'm just warning you now. If you fall off your high horse, don't break a hip.
Thank you. But that's why I brought it up. I'm like, I know well enough that I wasn't always just beer has to be clear or it's bad. But I do remember that it wasn't but 2 or 3 years ago that we were making fun as a class of beer drinkers. We were making fun of brewers who couldn't brew their beer clear and just called them home brewers if they couldn't filter their beer, find it out properly. And I remain convinced that the reason Hetty Topper says drink from the can, not from the bottle, is because he was embarrassed at how cloudy it was. He will never convince me otherwise.
Wow. Okay. Alrighty then.
So, sorry, Hetty Topper. I mean, whoever you are at The Alchemist, if you're watching, I'm convinced.
Well, I'm afraid that Jon will stroke out if he rants about this anymore. So let's bring this to a close.
It's still, the funny thing is, this is an enjoyable pint of beer.
Yes, it is.
And it really is. It's tropical. It's got that big grapefruit backbone to it. It's acidic on the finish, but it's still, it's sweet enough that it's balanced out and I can drink it and probably come back for another one. It's just leaning out of my wheelhouse these days.
I get it. All right.
But that's the reason these guys are brewing beer and making money doing it while I'm sitting here on a podcast talking about it. Easy for me to say, I'm wearing makeup.
Fair enough. All right.
Here's to it.
So damn lucky. See you next time.